All right, this is the first episode, the premiere episode of the official Shipmate Sports podcast. Um, I'm Mike. Alongside me here is Joey, and we were actually shipmates in the Navy on the USS Lake Erie, thus the name, the Shipmate Sports podcast. And Joey, if you got anything you want to add to that?
Just first episode, quality's not great, so don't be too ruthless on us.
Yeah. So we decided to start this because Joey and I both have a love for sports, and there's a lot of podcasts out there, and we really just enjoy listening and talking. We have a pretty good rapport going back and forth, and yeah, we got a little sample size here today of a few things we want to talk about, and
I just
yeah, go ahead.
I know when we get into it, Mike, me and you could talk sports for hours. So we said, what the hell? Let's let's record
Yeah.
it and see what happens.
Yeah, we had to get permission from a couple people to do this, so we were granted as such. We decided to go ahead and fire it up, see what happens. And honestly, my hope here is that we're able to do this for an extended period of time,
Yeah.
and hopefully provide some type of entertainment and insight that other people may not have really.
I think we have
really
a
thought of.
pretty good non-biased fan opinion. We have our teams and we have our players, but I think that we're both pretty non-biased, and I think that we piggyback off of each other's opinions pretty well.
Yeah.
And, so we said, what the hell? Let's run with it and see what happens.
Yeah. So that's what this is. We appreciate you watching or listening, or however you decide to consume this, and we'll go ahead and quit beating around the bush. This is kind of an introductory episode and everything, so we decided to kind of do a top 5 sports moments for both of us, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll dig into that here. We're just going to go ahead and jump right off, and so our top 5 moments, our top 5 sports moments, and so for me, like number 5 would be going to like my first hockey game there in DC.
It's going to be the top 5 sports moments / memories is the way I think a good way to put it. Like you were just saying, your number 5 is go ahead.
Yeah, going to like my first Washington Capitals game.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you watch hockey on TV, you have this general idea of like, yeah, it's kind of, it's kind of fast, it's violent, they fight. But once you're there and you can like smell the ice, to some degree, and you feel it and you hear the sound, like the puck hitting the boards and all that. I was like, oh my gosh, man, like hockey's really intense. So for me, a top 5 going to, or number 5 would be, going to my first like Washington Capitals game. Pretty cool. Yeah. Back when they had like Ole the goalie and
yeah.
I
mean, it's not my top 5, but like I can remember going to the old Boston Garden. My dad taking me there. I walking in, get my hot dog and my Coke, and walking into the Boston Garden for the first time. The place is old and decrepit, but that memory lasts and sticks with you. And yeah.
Is that building still standing, or did they tear it down? Or
no, it's gone. The new garden is right in its footsteps, and I don't think it doesn't hold a candle as far as nostalgia goes to the old garden.
Okay.
The Fleet Center, whatever the heck it is now, TD Garden, they've changed the name 700 times. I'm not exactly sure what it is anymore.
Yeah.
I still call it the new Boston Garden.
Yeah, I think the building that, as far as I remember, the Caps playing in, it was like the MCI Center. We'd metro into DC. I forget the stop. I think you got to get off at like the Chinatown metro stop or something like that, and then you walk up there. And it's MCI Center. Then it was it's the Verizon Center now, I believe. I don't know. I'm not there anymore, but the sponsors change and the teams change and all that over the years. But I definitely remember that, just walking in there like, oh my gosh, man.
I mean, that's something that has kind of lost its luster a little bit is the fact that the stadiums, you know, nobody knows what the name of the stadiums are anymore. I mean, you got Fenway, you got Wrigley, you got Yankee Stadium, um, you got Lambeau, you got Soldier Field, but there's so many that are, Target Field in Minnesota. Like I was saying, like whatever the thing is in Boston now, I miss just the one named fields,
And it
Um,
was there for, and that comes down to like the business side of
yeah,
sports, like these businesses, like maybe it costs too much money to keep the name, or contracts aren't negotiated, to somebody's likings. They're like, all right, because I think like here in Central Florida, they had the Citrus Bowl for the longest time. It was
mhm,
just Citrus Bowl, and
yeah,
now it's Camping World Stadium. And I didn't even
yep,
know Camping World was a company until I was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, they're really big companies. So I mean, it's also another way, yeah, for these companies to get their name out there and get some exposure too. Like,
yep.
you can sponsor a state. I think Jerry World, isn't that AT&T Stadium, or wasn't it AT&T Stadium there for a little
Yeah,
bit?
it's
If you
I
guys know.
think it is, but I don't know. I don't even know what the stadiums are called now.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
it's yeah, I do kind of, there is that bit of nostalgia to it, like I don't even think MCI is a company anymore. Like the MCI, I don't even know, they got like bought out by Verizon or something. I don't know, man. Yeah.
oh man. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it at 5, Mikey, and it's kind of a me and you memory, and it's back when we were in the Navy. We were on duty. It was a Sunday. I wouldn't say either one of us were like the biggest golf fans there were, but it happened to be the Sunday of the U.S. Open, and it was 2008, and it was just Tiger versus Rocco, right down to that final putt there on 18. Remember we sunk that punt. Me and you we were sitting there on duty. We're bored out of our minds. We can't do anything, and what's on but golf, the U.S. Open. When me and you, we got sucked in, and that's what sports does to people, man. It sucks you right in. We and that I'll never forget that final putt on 18. Tiger made to send it into a playoff, and we're like just going crazy.
Dude, yeah, and they had the play, and I remember that. I remember rooting. I had no idea. I remember Tiger Woods at that time was like, he wasn't just the figure,
He was
he wasn't
LeBron
the
right
face.
now.
Yeah, like, but I mean, not just for golf, just for sports.
Yeah.
Like it was just like everybody. We still know who Tiger Woods is.
Yeah, no, he was the alpha, I think, at that time as far as sports.
Yeah,
Um,
and I remember just like wholeheartedly rooting for Rocco Media and be like, beat him, Rocco, and just because his name was Rock, it's kind of like Rocky, get him, Rock, like
yeah, get him, Rock.
watching. And if anybody doesn't know what duty is, it's when you have to stay on the ship for 24 hours and you can't go anywhere. You're like grounded. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
yeah,
you're still working and stuff like
yeah.
that. But I mean, we're like
But it
on.
was a
We weren't even
Sunday
on
duty
watch.
at
Yeah, it
that,
was a
dude.
Sunday. Yeah, dude. And
But it just
yeah,
shows, man, you can find entertainment, in any sort of sports. I mean, like I said, we weren't the biggest golf fans in the world, but that particular day, it was just such a great environment to watch, and we got sucked in, and it's a good sports memory I have with you, buddy, and so that's why I put it in there at number 5.
yeah. That I remember that, man, just getting so worked up, and I'm just like, whatever. We're on the ship, man. Nobody's here. It's Sunday. We're in port.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
else are we gonna do, Mike? What else are we gonna do?
I don't know. What are we watching? Golf. I don't know. Go get a soda. We'll pretend it's beer or something. Like, come on, man. Like, whatever. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep it going here, man. Number 4 for me, also a Navy memory here. One time we were in the barracks room actually, and the Caps and Bees and Bruins were playing, and it
I'm
was
gonna
like,
cut you off real quick, Mike. I'm gonna cut you off real quick. Mind you, that probably on the ship of about 400 guys, I think me and you were probably the only 2 people that knew hockey. Can I preface it with that?
I think you'd be accurate. I think there's probably plus or minus 2 people. Like there's probably, I mean, we had a couple of people there from like northern, like Michigan. I think Post was a Detroit guy and stuff like. But
And I
yeah,
think the only two people
yeah,
that were genuine hockey fans were me and
yeah.
you.
Oh man, and I, just like it
I
it
didn't mean to
didn't.
cut off your number 4 there. I just
It's
had.
no big deal. But I mean, it doesn't really center around just one team. It's just like I just like hockey. Like the playoffs this year were
We had the
really
NHL
good.
package in our barracks when we had the
Yeah.
NHL package.
And it's like, what's on? I don't know, something. Let's watch, the Kings and Avalanche.
Yep.
Whatever, man. And yeah, we were watching the Capitals and Bruins, and by like the end of the first period, it was like 5-0 Washington, right? And I felt so bad, man. But I wanted to watch hockey, and you were like, dude, I don't want to watch this.
I think this was one of the few times I wanted to go out and start drinking, and you didn't want to.
Yeah. And I was like, nah, man, like let's just finish it out, man. 2 more periods, maybe the Brewers come back, and the game wound up being like 10-0. And I felt so, like so guilty for like making you. I think you fell asleep. You was like,
probably,
man, I'm going to bed.
Knowing me, I was probably
and I was just like, I wanted to watch that game, whatever. And I remember that. I still think about that sometimes. So that's definitely number 4 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go to number 4 too. And it's going to be back on the ship. Again, I'm going to do the 2008 Celtics, but it's one particular game. And Mikey, I don't know how well you remember it, but most people that have been in the service know the Armed Forces Network pretty well. Do you remember the
Yeah.
All right. So we were coming back from, I'm going to say San Diego, and it was game 3, I believe. And you remember that when we were, when we weren't in port yet, but we were kind of close, and we'd have the Armed Forces Network, you'd get like a blip, and then the TV would freeze. Then you get another blip, and the TV. So
the internet wasn't the best.
Yeah. I'm watching the Celtics in the finals for the first time in my life, and I'm beyond excited. Paul Pierce, Garnett Allen in the finals, and we hadn't been able to watch the first 2 games because we were at sea, and we're finally getting close. Armed Forces Network is finally picking up this game, and it's freezing. It just keeps, and I keep getting like just quick pictures of a score, and the Lakers are up by something like 30 points. But the thing is as we were getting closer, we kept getting more screen caps, and the Lakers are up 30. Now they're up 25. Now they're up, 18. And I'm like, what the hell? By the time we get back to Hawaii, it's a tie game. Everybody else is rushing to get off the ship. I finally get a feed, and I'm sitting down in the berthing watching the Celtics game. They wind up coming back from that 30-something point. I don't remember what the number was, but it's like 30-something points. And but yeah, just kind of the Navy aspect of it, and that the Armed Forces Network just feeding you the Armed Forces, man.
Oh man, I don't know where the funding to the military goes.
USAA commercial, a Navy Federal commercial, or they were pushing you to join something.
Yeah. Yeah, and you might get, you got to follow the score update, like it's like back in the day before you got like Sunday ticket now, and you can watch all the games, and you got the NHL package, the NBA package, and baseball. You had to follow the score updates on a website, just like, and then you get to play at the bottom. You didn't have these live feeds.
Yeah.
And for any, like when you pull into port, man, you're not thinking about anything else but getting off the ship. Like, I just want to go home. We've been out to sea for 2 weeks. I don't care. I want a beer. Like, that's it. Like, let me go home, man. I'm gonna go to my bed. Like, whatever you want to do.
So, well, that's why. So that kind of tells you how important that game was. That we pulled up. They dropped us. We could get off if we wanted to, and I said no, I'm staying on because this game's going down to the wire. And I said no. I had the opportunity. Everybody was leaving, and I said no, I'm staying right here.
Yeah. I mean, but your team's playing in the finals right now, and the signal's getting better. So like, the lead's going down. You're like, dude, I got to stay and watch this. Like.
Exactly. Sorry about my phone ringing.
That's no big deal. I mean, plus you're in Hawaii, man. So I mean, it might be 3:00 in the afternoon Hawaii time, but it's 9:00 at night on the East Coast. So you still got time to go out and do whatever you got to do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was one of my favorite things, Mike. That was one of my favorite things about being stationed out there, Mike, was that we would watch like college football, whatever, and we'd start watching it at like 6:00 in the morning, 5:00 in the morning sometimes. Sunday Night Football would be over at like 2:00 in the afternoon. We started drinking at Round Table at 5 a.m. We're sleeping off our hangovers at 3:00 in the afternoon from a day of watching football.
I remember that, man.
It worked out well because by the time we had to go to work Monday morning, we had slept it off.
Yeah, that's true, man. I remember and that's when Sunday Night Football. I think Chris Berman was still on ESPN then. Something
probably,
like that. He was still doing it with Tom Jackson, like the football. It wasn't like Football Minute, but it was like they would do the pregame from Sunday night countdown.
It was like the countdown thing there.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is now, man. I just I don't know. I haven't had cable in quite some times, but I still been able to see all the games. But that was when the Celtics had the big three, right? Garnett, Allen, Paul Pierce. That was the start of the whole big three. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was I am a very big Celtics fan, and this was like, the first time I was able to see them in the finals, and it was really cool. And like I said, it sucked that we were at sea for the first two games, so I missed games 1 and 2, and I knew we were going to be getting back for game 3. But I forget what it was, but we were just going in slow, and the feed, like I said, the feed just kept cutting in and out. And I would, every time the commercial would be in, the feed would be fine, and we get those the Armed Force Network commercials. But as soon as the game would come back, it would just freeze.
Yeah. But that sounds about right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So on to number 3 here, man. I think that for me, number 3 would be, it's kind of another Navy moment here, but it sticks out so vividly, just in my mind at the moment. And this is kind of like, and I'm sure this list will change over time, but this is more of like an introduction, all that stuff. So for me, I remember, and don't take offense to this or anything, but I remember the David Tyree catch, that Super Bowl, right?
Oh.
And I remember, we were in San Diego, right?
We were in San Diego. Yep.
Yeah, man. And we found a bar. I have no idea what this bar's name was, man. We were stationed Hawaii in San Diego for this. You're from someplace in the States, you get stationed Hawaii, you go somewhere, you just want to watch. It's the Super Bowl. Yep. Come on.
Yep.
And we go to this
bar. We were going back out to sea the next day, if you remember.
Yeah, that's true. It was like, you got to watch Super Bowl, then get back to, to work.
Exactly.
And I remember sitting in there, man, and everybody was in a bad mood because everybody wanted, the pressure was on the Giants to win.
Yep.
But there was also pressure in the bar. There was this anxiety, You
weren't at the same bar as me, were you? Because I found a Boston-based bar in downtown San Diego.
No, I wasn't. I was not there. I remember. I remember the group of I was still with some guys from the ship.
Okay.
But I wasn't with you on this one.
Okay.
But I remember he made that catch, and this place just erupted, man. It was crazy because it was David versus Goliath.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Everybody there was a Patriots fan.
It was weird because we were sitting at the bar, man. We had all our drinks and all that stuff. We had our table, and everybody was just everybody's just kind of nipping at each other verbally, hey man, what's your problem? Whatever. As soon as he made that catch, it was everybody started hugging. It was don't worry about what I said earlier, all that stuff. And it was all good. And then, they went on to win. It was still a really good game. Good game. Sorry.
It was. It's still hard to watch those recaps and those highlights, but I turned it off after Brady hit Moss in the end zone, and
Oh. Yeah, man. So that for me was number 3, just because I felt it was weird. It was weird because now, for after so long of rooting against the Patriots, of just being I hope they lose. I hope they lose. I didn't really realize what I was seeing. Right. And now, the Patriots, they got Cam Newton over there. Brady's down to Tampa. And you realize, dude, we're not going to see 2 decades of dominance. If you were going to pick a team to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC, would you pick from 2000 to 2020 or 2019? Would you pick the Patriots or everybody else?
I mean,
and half the time you would have been right if you would have picked
exactly. It's insane.
that is, I mean, you have like, these teams from, the Raiders of the 80s or the
Mhm,
Steelers in the 70s and the Cowboys in the 90s and the
mhm.
Niners. But it's just the Patriots from 2000 to 2020. And now I've really come to really respect and admire,
Mhm.
what that franchise is able to do with, Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and just I think however whatever my opinion is on it, or just putting all that energy into hoping they lose, it just seems like a fool's errand instead of just like really appreciating,
Yeah.
and this is football. This isn't the NBA where there's so much free agency, or the NHL. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or even baseball where it's just like, yeah, I'm taking the Yankees for all those
You
years.
cut out, Mike.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Oh, sorry about that. This is football, and players don't last as long.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And eventually, like whatever you're doing, like defenses will adjust to it. And for
Yep.
Belichick and Brady to be able to do that for so long, I think it's just I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again in our lifetimes.
Oh yeah.
So that's number 3 for me, David Tyree.
I mean, for my number 3, I mean, I'll just go quick to it. I mean, I also went with the 2008 Patriots. Obviously, if you haven't gotten the gist of where I'm coming from here, as I am a Boston sports fan, um, I would say I'm an unbiased Boston sports fan. Mikey, would you say that that's a pretty decent analysis?
I would say that you have the ability to put your fandom aside
Yeah.
and call out the teams that you love
Yeah.
on their BS.
Which I think
When
you're the same thing with you.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that a lot of fans or a lot of people that watch sports don't necessarily have that trait, and that's why we can do
they're
something
not
like
able
this.
they're not able to see past, my team's the only team left. But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, I went with the 2008 Patriots, and I went with that week 16, seeing them go 16-0. Whether you want to say they cheated, they did this, they did that, whatever, however you want to say it, the fact that they went 16-0, I still think is pretty darn cool. Um, I don't know if it's something we'll see again. Obviously, with the schedule being 17 now, I don't know if we'll see another perfect season again. And again, I know that there's people out there that put asterisks next to it. They're entitled to do that. I mean, I think it's as legit as it comes, and I thought that was really impressive. Obviously, with your number 3, they didn't finish off the job, but seeing them go 16-0 was really, really cool. And I'm not sure if it's something we'll ever see again. So I put that down as my number 3. And again, it just happens that it happened while we were both in the Navy.
Yeah. What is that the Deflate Gate? Is that why they have the asterisk
No,
on that one?
This was their other cheating scandal.
Oh,
This was the Spygate one when Eric Mangini called them out.
oh,
Which the people around here will say, yeah, everybody cheats, which right, wrong, whatever. I mean, they got caught, whatever. Shit happens.
yeah. I don't know if I mean I don't know if I would. I mean, was it every game or something like that, or
Listen, if they were
I
doing it, they
forget?
were doing it good, man. They were cheating, they were doing a damn good job at it,
Yeah.
because they wound up winning 15 more straight games, so they were doing something
Yes.
right.
So I think the thing is, by that time in 2008, Brady was already, he was
He was
cresting up,
established.
yeah, and I
He
think
was
that people
probably a
are,
tier. He was probably a step or a peg, however you want to put it, below Peyton Manning at that point. But I think that year put him either on par or above Manning. I think that was because that was his real coming out year. That was his, oh shit, if Brady has weapons, he can really put up numbers.
yeah,
Because prior to that, he had Troy Brown, and he had those guys, the Deion Branches. But this was the first time that he had an arsenal. He had with Welker and Moss, um, you know, and he was just airing it out, and Moss was pulling everything down. And again, I've said it a million times. I do think Randy Moss is an overrated receiver. I catch flack for that all the time. I thought he was a one-trick pony that didn't show up in big games, but him and Brady did have a chemistry.
yeah. I think that and that's when Moss he came over from what is now
Oakland.
Vegas, right? Oakland
Yeah,
at the time, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And so he was with Minnesota for that time, and then went to Oakland, and people thought he was done, right? Or there's some
Yeah.
people that were just like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think they
and the
got him.
Patriots got him.
I'm gonna be wrong on this, but it was a third or a fourth round pick they got him for. And I mean, most of the people here, just kind of thought it was, he had nothing left, and um, it obviously they were wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
that was one hell of a run that they
yeah,
had.
that it was what they had like 55 touchdowns Brady threw that year, something
Brady
like
threw
that.
50, and Moss caught 23 of them to set the record there. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
it became like a just video game type numbers.
yeah, and it's weird because like after like week 10, not even maybe like after like week 8, right? Because it's 16 game season,
Yeah,
17 weeks, and he's throwing to Randy Moss, man.
yeah,
Like safety help over the top, and they still go on for 23 touches. Like,
yeah.
so I mean, I think that just says all the more because, like, when
I mean, the Giants for the most part, and in the AFC Championship game, the Chargers took him out of the game. They were both able to do it.
yeah,
I mean, he did not show up short of the touchdown at the end of that game. Moss was basically a non-factor in that Super Bowl.
yeah, and you saw it like when Stafford was throwing to Calvin Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely games where, I mean, now Calvin Johnson definitely had his highlights. There's one of him jumping over like 3 defenders against Cincinnati and pulling that ball down, and but I mean those games where the corner would get help to cover Calvin Johnson, like, he didn't have. I mean, he didn't have those big statistical games and stuff. So I mean, I think that just goes to show like how effective that offense was that year with Brady and Moss and everything.
Yep. No, it was a fun team to watch.
Yeah, man. So getting down to number 2 here. This is more of a family sports moment.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, back in the 90s, growing up, we had the Bulls. Michael Jordan was, bigger than basketball. He
Jordan was
still
bigger than
is.
everything.
Yeah. He's kind of like how, I don't know. I mean, I know LeBron is a comparison now.
Yeah.
But if there's an athlete that sticks out more than their particular sport now, Jordan is that equivalent. And that's, that comes with some subjectivity. That comes with some opinion and some bias as well. But I think we can all agree, like, everybody knows who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah, no, I think that most people are going to agree with you that everybody knows, and especially in the 90s, everybody knew who Jordan was.
Yeah, so NBA final or NBA playoffs, man, sitting around the old UHF knob, bunny ear antenna TV with the family, and it was just kind of, I remember that, we had these, man, we had the house that we had, you know what I mean? Yeah. And the furniture, we had like a Lazy Boy recliner that was from 1807 or, some old recliner, and the couch had all its, marks on it. There's laundry on the love seat because, whatever, man. But the family, we sat there and we watched sports, and we tracked the Bulls through the finals, and everybody's. I remember just being the biggest Chicago Bulls fan, and I had the starter cap, and I just remember like that.
Wait a minute. You were a real fan if you had the jacket, though. Did you have the jacket?
I did not have the jacket. No, we could. You get one.
You get what you get.
Hat, you get what you get, right? Dad's sitting there just like, look, man. What do you? We can't afford it. No. Do you want Christmas gifts? You don't want us to? I'm like, all right, take that. So you got to pick. Hey. But yeah, I just remember, sitting around with the family, watching the NBA finals. My mom couldn't believe how small the basketball was compared to like Scottie Pippen and John Paxson hitting threes and stuff like that. Man, it was just, I remember that, and that's for me. I know it's not one specific moment, but it's just kind of a compilation. Yeah. And that was, just, it's kind of, it's an emotional thing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty specific to me. So that for me is, it's like my number 2.
There you go. Hey, I got you. I went number 2 for me. Was the first time the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Now you're going back again, like you mentioned, Mike. You imagine 20 years ago was when that run started. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
And I put that one up so high because I mean it was, obviously since that moment Boston has known a lot of winning, but prior to that, I mean, it had been the '85 Celtics for the last team to win a championship. You had a couple of Bruins teams make it to the Cup but get crushed by the Oilers. So this was the first time in my lifetime that I saw a winner. And when the ball went through, when Vinatieri's kick went through the uprights, the only thing I'm thinking of is, all right, where's the flag, or who jumped off, or where's the false start? Like, I remember just sitting there like, this really happened? Did the Patriots just win the Super Bowl? Because, at that point, the beginning of that season, the Patriots weren't on anybody's radar as a team that was going to win a championship.
I gotta say, so I remember that because I remember sitting at the lunch table in high school, right? And we were naming the teams. It was back in 2000. We were naming the teams that were in the playoffs. And it was like 6 teams make the playoffs from each conference. And I remember it was like the Raiders and a couple other teams. I forget who was really big at that time, but anyway, and we were like, well, we named 5. Who's the 6th team? And like, no, and
the Patriots were the afterthought.
Yeah, nobody could Google it. We were all like, dude, who's the 6th team? Does anybody know? Like, nobody had a phone. We didn't have cell phones, you know what I mean? I think somebody had one, but there was no Google. There's no
Nokia
internet.
bricks is what we had.
Yeah, Nokia. You could place a phone call. That was, I think
you got to play Snake.
Yeah, you could play Snake. Yeah. And so it like we sat there on our whole lunch period, and then somebody's like, is it the Patriots? I was like, oh yeah, it's the Patriots. They got it. Yeah, I think the Steelers were in there or something. Yeah, man, and they wound up. Well, I mean,
I mean, it was the first time, and so before that, I mean, we didn't know what winning a championship was. I mean, so like I said, I mean, I was in high school, and if you had asked me at that point, I would have thought, maybe the Red Sox would be the next Boston team to win one, and I wouldn't have never thought that I would see the Patriots win a Super Bowl. I mean, I would have never expected to see them in. I mean, they had lost to the Packers a few years earlier.
Yeah, they had they got there.
Yeah. But you got to remember, the year before they won the Super Bowl with Belichick, they were 5-11 under Belichick. I mean, Belichick was on the hot seat going into that season.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Belichick was on the hot seat, and they started off that year 0-2. I want to say they may have even been 1-3 when that season started. And the calls going into sport radio at that time, they were not positive for Belichick. Which oddly enough, they're going into sports radio. The calls are not great for Belichick now because Brady's not here. But
it's
can't
weird.
Please everybody. 20 years of winning wasn't enough for the people around here.
I don't know. You give them an inch, they take a mile here, and you give them 20 years, and they want 23 years. I don't get you guys up there, man. Come on.
You imagine that?
I mean,
the 20 years of winning isn't enough.
The Buccaneers just won the Super Bowl, man, and all their fans are just like, dude, I'm good for the rest of my life. That's it. And I mean, even the Chiefs. When Mahomes won it, the year prior, like,
Mikey, you're a Lions fan. You've told me that you're happy with 8-8.
I have. And I mean, I would love to see 500. If we got 2 seasons, now you're not really going to get 500 anymore, but under Matt Patricia, and I'm working, and look, I don't want bad things to happen to people on purpose. Okay. But if Matt Patricia's like rear right tire went flat tomorrow in his driveway or something, I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay. I would cash in on my karma. I'd be like, just you had this coming. All right. That's from me, whatever, man, and what you put me through as a person, as a fan. But like, during those years, I'm just like, dude, like 8-8 would have been fine with me.
Yeah,
it really would have, man, because you're talking about 6-10 and 3-13 or whatever the record was, 5-11. And I'm just like, dude, like there's talent. Isn't what there was talent when we had Jim Caldwell, yeah, we were not, they had a year, I think Jim Caldwell's last year, they were 9-7.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like, okay, 9-7 in the NFL isn't bad. It's not a bad year. That's, middle of the road. Maybe you're fighting.
Here the sky's falling at 9-7.
Oh man.
Here the sky's falling to 12-4, 11-5.
So
they won the AFC East 2 years ago. Yeah, they got knocked out in the first round, but people were calling for everybody's head.
That's I can't empathize with that. I'll tell you that. I cannot.
Unbelievable, man.
I mean, and you guys, last year with Cam Newton, right? It was 7-9.
7-9.
7-9, and I think that was kind of like a, coming down to earth type of deal. Like, hey, man. And now we've seen Belichick. He's never spent that amount of money in free agency.
No.
Right? They brought in all kinds of people.
They've had some spending sprees, but nothing like this. Nothing like what they did this year. Which we'll tackle a little bit of that.
Okay. So yeah, man, let's number one. So my number one sports moment. This is like the first thing I thought of when we were talking about making this list and everything. As you mentioned, I'm a Lions fan, and there's not many positive historically with the Detroit Lions, and that's it just kind of is what it is, man. And so we graduated boot camp, right, and then we went to A school,
in
Chicago,
yeah.
And Great Lakes, right, but in Chicago. And so my dad came out while I was in A school, and we went to go see the Lions and Bears play at Soldier Field.
Yep.
And the Lions had not won on the road for like the past 26 games or something. So I went in there and I was just like, whatever, man. And I think at this time,
you're just enjoying the experience.
Yeah, this is back when they had like Joey Harrington and Charles Rogers. And Charles Rogers actually re-broke his collarbone in this game, and that was like the end of his NFL career. And Teddy Lehman was their linebacker. It was just, there was like this thought that Detroit has a little bit of talent. They might, but I was sitting there, like, I'm a Lions fan. And, my dad was there and we went to go see a football game. It was great, man. By the way, a lot of people, I don't know what Soldier Field is now, but when I was there, we were upper bowl, man, in the nosebleeds. We could see everything just fine. I thought I got nothing bad to say about Soldier Field. I've heard it's different now. It might need renovations or something like that. I don't know. I'm not boots on the ground over there or anything like that. But yeah, that's number one for me, man. Just seeing the Lions play, sitting there watching it with my dad. They actually won the game as well. And, they ended the streak. So it was kind of like all these things kind of coalesce at the same time, and, I'm trying not to, get to them, but like, that for me is number one, just kind of sitting there. My dad came out and all that. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's a good memory, man. No,
that's
a good one, dude. I mean, I went, with my number one, I went with the Sox and Yankees 2003 into 2004. I mean, I'm starting when Aaron bleeping Boone hit the walk-off home run against the Yankees. I'm sitting there thinking, the Red Sox finally going to get over the hump. 2003. I loved that 2003 team. Aaron bleeping Boone knocks them out. And then that whole 2004 season, I mean, that was as intense a season as I in baseball as I'll ever remember. And I mean, people around here, they weren't just hanging on to like every game, every important game. No, it was every pitch of every single game. I mean, people were invested. And it's unfortunate that the game is kind of falling apart, but straight through that, the 04 season, coming back from down 3-0 against the Yankees, coming back and then going on to win the, just kicking the Cardinals' butts in the World Series. That was kind of the afterthought. Winning the World Series was the afterthought. Was beating the Yankees was like, oh my God. They went down 3-0. There's people around here that said that they still thought the Sox were going to win. I had cashed out at that point. I said I'm good. I had thrown the towel in. I had said that the Red Sox can't beat the Yankees, point blank. It's never going to happen. The Red Sox will never beat the Yankees. You know,
the curse of the Bambino is real. Like,
oh yeah, the Bambino owns us, and you know, it'll never happen. And you know, there are some people around here that said, "Oh yeah, after Game 3, I knew it was the year." I knew. Yeah, no, you didn't. No, nobody did.
No, nobody. Yeah.
No, nobody did.
What are
everybody had tapped out at that point.
What is like the statistical probability in just in because I know in basketball, like if you go down to 3,
it's the only time it's happened.
Is it really?
Yeah, I do not believe it has happened since.
That'd be
99% sure it has not happened since.
Yeah, I'm not big. I don't know all the historical facts and everything, but I gotta imagine, right? Like if you go down 0-3 in any series, it'd be hockey, baseball, basketball, you know.
So I know it's happened in hockey because it happened to the Bruins.
Oh yeah, I mean we saw it here when Tampa Bay just won it. They went up 3-0 on Montreal, right? And then Montreal won that game, and then it was like I think they call it a gentleman's sweep when you win 4-1, you know. And yeah, but I gotta say I would have done the same thing, man. I would have jumped ship. I'm like, dude, it's, you know, the fourth game is kind of formality.
Still watching. I mean, people were watching just because, you know, it was like one of the like a slow kill type thing. You're trying to look away, but you kind of like looking like this type thing.
Yeah. And how good did you feel after the series went 3-1? Were you like, oh, maybe?
So the way that they won Game 4, it had like an interesting feel to it. You know, it was extra innings. Dave Roberts steals the base, and then they wind up scoring off of Mariano Rivera, which is like the ultimate of impossible.
Yeah.
Extra innings. David Ortiz hits the walk-off home run, and I will say that it had a weird feel, and the feeling was, all right, you know what? They were down 3-0. Now they're down 3-1. If they happen to squeak a game out and they're down 3-2, well, teams come back from 3-2 all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's not out of the realm.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they win game 5 the same way, extra innings, late into these games were ending at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
I remember that, man. Like
forever. There was something about the 2003 to like 2005 games between the Red Sox and Yankees took hours. The games would start at 7 and they'd be over at like 2 a.m.
I remember that. You know, I'd tune in for the first, you know, 4 or 5 innings and be like, look, man, I got to go to work. Just
yeah. Yeah, no, it was those games were intense, and it bums me out because I mean, I still follow baseball, but nowhere near what it was. I mean, I wouldn't miss an inning, you know, barring if I was at work, obviously. But you know, every game I was watching from, you know, Red Sox did like a pregame show. I'd watch as soon as the pregame show started, right through the game, right through the postgame, every single, and that's 162 games. And
that's a big helping. I gotta.
Yeah.
That's quite
but unfortunately, I think the game has lost a little bit of its lost. You know, it's lost a little bit. And I think they're working on getting it back, and we'll see.
What do you think the reason is for, or one of the reasons, the main reason is for the
they talk about the like the pace of play, and I think it's just a lack of stars too hurts. You know, Stephen A's getting beaten up because he was talking about what is it, Shohei?
Yeah, Ohtani, and he needs he said something along the lines
he's not able to connect with the fans because because he can't speak English. And I mean, in a roundabout way, I don't think he was wrong with. I think he was wrong with how he said it. But I mean, if that's your big star, I mean, it's tough to market that. I think anyway.
Well, I think
it is cool what he's doing. It is really cool.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think you have to be able to speak the language. You know, we have, hockey stars. Like when Alexander Ovechkin first came over here, like I think he used an interpreter. You know what I mean? He's like the face of hockey. Him and Crosby were, and they had that big back and forth. And they kind of like brought the sport of hockey back because hockey was they went through that. They were. I think they. I mean, they almost like went under the NHL and everything. And they finally were able to get a couple stars and market them properly.
Yep.
And like hockey is kind of, I mean, it's not overtaking football or basketball or anything like that, but I mean, it's coming back. It's on ESPN now, and
I think that's going to be great. I mean,
but I don't.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't think that, I think Stephen A's comments were, wrong. I don't necessarily think that you have to be able to speak English to be a star. And
the more time towards the marketability of it.
Yeah, I think he is a star. Just with what he's doing, being a two-way player the way he is, and the way he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like getting base hits and like bunting to get a runner to come around. This guy's knocking dingers
before the All-Star break.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's just setting records and everything like that. So I think that if the quality of the product is, does have, that substance to it. If the quality is high, then the product will just market itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you buy a good car, and I'm not comparing anybody to a automobile or anything like that. But I mean, if the car is put together, in a couple of days, it's probably gonna break down on you. You take your time, put something together. It's nice, and it's got that high quality, and it'll speak for itself. And so
I mean, hopefully he has the staying power, and he has a career out of it. And I think that could help the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I mean, I think these are topics that we'll definitely dig into them. And I think that we said off jump that I think our wheelhouse, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, our wheelhouse is probably football. But I mean, we both watch hockey. Both watch basketball. We both follow baseball. And I think what we'll look forward to is moving into the football season, doing like a weekly recap of our thoughts on the season, and which is why I think about maybe what do you think about just a quick little where we stand right now going into the season, like they call them the way too early predictions for football,
like a way too early NFL season prediction for the AFC, NFC. Maybe we could do that. Like who's do you want to pick like Super Bowl teams or just like
no? I think we go right through the divisions. I think what are we running on? We're running close to an hour. I think we roll. I think we roll through the divisions, just kind of who we like in the division, and then we'll push off those predictions. I think closer to like preseason.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and we got our top 5 out of the way. And sorry for getting
that kind. I think we extended on. I think that gives a little bit of a foundation of what we're about, and but I think we go into this and let's start in the NFC. Let's go NFC East. What do you think?
Okay, so NFC East. Oh, geez, man.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I threw out the hardest one. I think.
Give me some harder.
I feel like the NFC East, year after year, you can just pick a name out of a hat, and that's the team that's going to, there's no rhyme or reason to any consistency in the NFC East.
I think this might be. I don't think the Eagles. I don't know what's going on over there. I think that I don't know why they got rid of Doug Peterson. They just won the Super Bowl a few years ago, and they fired the coach. And I think
Wentz also.
Yeah, got no Carson Wentz. I think they should move forward with Jalen Hurts. I think that would be wise. But I think the Eagles are probably going to be at the bottom of that division, or they should as of right now.
Yeah.
But I think Washington has an outside chance of winning that division. I like Ron Rivera. I like what he did in Carolina.
Good coach,
now I will say, I don't know. This is a shot in the dark, man, because that division, the Eagles could very
That's why I
well win
started with
that
the mic.
division. But if I had to pick right now to give you an answer, because I know we're coming up on an hour and everything like that, and we still got all the other divisions to go through. I would say Washington.
Washington,
right
that's
now. Yeah.
You know what? I hate them, and year after year I go with them. I got to go with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
There's just so much talent there. I can't stand the team, but I feel like I've picked them probably the last 5 years, and I don't know. Like I said, this the NFC East, it's just there's no consistency. So I'm just gonna throw a dart, and I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. No rhyme or reason, just gonna go with the Cowboys.
It's not a bad pick because you got a 25% chance. So
move to the South,
NFC South. Well, Drew Brees is gone. You know, they're moving forward now. And apparently there's a battle for the starting quarterback position between Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. So I don't know if that says more about Taysom Hill or less about Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
All that being said, I don't think New Orleans wins that division again. I think it's Tampa Bay. I think it's Tampa Bay's to lose. They're probably going to be my pick again to come out to be at least in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
It's Brady. I'm not betting against Brady until he retires, and even then, it might be a shoot. But I'm excited to see what Sam Darnold does over there in Carolina. Atlanta, I don't know what's really going on there, but I think that in the NFC South, man, it's going to be Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't pick against them. I mean, it's their division to lose. Last year, I think obviously the Saints won it, and that was their only competition. And this year, with no Drew Brees, I can't see any way that Tampa Bay doesn't walk through that division. And I'm talking, I think they walk through very handily, and I think they come out as like the top seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
Go to the West.
NFC West. Okay, so this one is interesting. This one is almost it's not as crazy as the NFC East, but the NFC West is very competitive.
I feel like it's like the NFC, but the complete opposite, because the NFC East teams all can stink, where the NFC West teams can all be good.
They're all going to go
four teams that can be very good.
Yeah, they're going to go like 10-7 now, and the NFC East teams are all going to go, 7-10. There's going to be a division winner. No, and man, I think we might be picking on the NFC East a little bit too much, but that's all right. But NFC West, man, you got Stafford, Wilson, Garoppolo, and Trey Lance in the wins, and then you got Kyler Murray, who's also up and coming.
Yep.
And I really, these are way too early predictions, and thank goodness, man, because even if there's 3 weeks to go in the season, I still don't want to predict this division.
Yeah.
I do like Stafford over there. Now he's got a defense to go.
Yep.
With what he's got going. That's he's got a great coach in Sean McVay, and I think Stafford just kind of toiled away in Detroit. I mean, even though he just, love the guy. I think that, Russell Wilson just needs some help, man. And if Garoppolo can stay healthy, I'll give it to the Niners now. I really will. Here's the thing. I got, how I feel about Jimmy Garoppolo, but when he stayed healthy, man, they went to the Super Bowl.
And they won.
I mean, no, they didn't. They lost the Super Bowl. The Niners
No. I'm saying they won games.
Oh, yeah.
They were a winning team.
Yeah. So, yes, that's what I'm saying. If Garoppolo can just stay upright, man, and they don't have to put the backups in, dude, I mean, you got a playoff team, maybe if we get Brady and Garoppolo going back and forth there in the NFC Championship.
I mean, that would be fun. I think that Kyler Murray takes the jump this year. I really do. And I believe that he is going to be the NFC's version of Patrick Mahomes. I think that there's serious talent there. And I like the Cardinals defense. Now, I think that the Cardinals are either going to be boom or bust. I think they're either going to run away with the division or they're going to be a 3-win team. But I'm going to go with them winning the division just because I really like Kyler Murray, and I think that their offense is going to put up a lot of points, and I think that they have a solid defense. And I like what they're doing over there. That's why I'm going to go with the Cardinals. No faith, just like the NFC East. No, not really a lot of faith in it, but I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
It's the NFC East, but in the West. You know? Yeah. So that division is also really, really tough to pick. Yeah.
All right, well, you got to go to your team up there in the North. What do you got?
NFC North. I think the Lions. They're in a rebuild. This is a full. There's no there's no bones about it, man. No jokes about it. I think Detroit's just going to be, they're going to be your 5-win team. Hopefully. But it's the NFC North is really interesting right now because you don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be there for Green Bay.
And even if he is, what is it? It doesn't seem like he wants to be.
I think that he loves football. I think he wants to play football. I just don't think he wants to do it in Green Bay based on everything everybody said, stuff like that. If Aaron Rodgers plays, it's Green Bay's division. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Chicago, I don't know what their quarterback situation is like. You know what I mean? They just drafted Fields. I think he should probably play over Trubisky. Yeah. But whatever. Minnesota's interesting. If they can keep it together, I think they can be competitive for the division. Kirk Cousins, I think is, good enough, serviceable. He
can win games. But I wouldn't call him a winner, but I think he can win games.
Yeah, and Minnesota isn't just about Kirk Cousins. You got Dalvin Cook and a pretty good defense. So if you can run the ball and play defense, man, you can go pretty far. So I would say Green Bay if Aaron stays. If Rodgers is not there, Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to just agree with you. I think it's Green Bay's division to win with Rodgers. Minnesota will be right there with them. I think that you're underselling your Lions a little bit. I think that they can compete for a 500. I'm interested to see how Goff works out there.
I am too. I think there's a lot of talk about that. Is Goff? The thing is, he was drafted number 1 overall in his draft class. He went to the Super Bowl. A lot of people say, well, it was all the defense. You lost to Bill Belichick. Who hasn't lost to Bill Belichick? Let's everybody lose at some point or another. And I think he's had success and he can be successful. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I'm gonna go with the Packers. So what do we got? We got me personally. I have the Cardinals, the Packers, the Cowboys, and the Bucks.
Yeah, I got Niners. Green Bay, NFC East was Washington, and then the Bucks. Yeah.
All right.
I think the Bucks you can kind of just lock it in.
AFC West?
AFC West. Okay. So I just give it to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I like Justin Herbert. With the Chargers, Denver. I don't know what they're doing, and the Raiders. I don't know, maybe, but it's the Chiefs.
Well, all right, let me throw this one out there. Here's your hypothetical. If the rumors wind up being true and Denver is able to pull it off for Rodgers, does that do anything to move your needle towards Denver?
It does do something to move the needle towards Denver because if Rodgers is there, oh man, that would actually be exciting because
that'd be a serious division right there. You're talking.
I think the Chargers don't necessarily get enough love, man. Well, they have to start winning and they'll get more love. But
Herbert was damn impressive last year.
I remember we watched a game. He was playing the Saints. It was a Saints game, man. I think it was like one of those Monday night games. And I just remember I was watching it. My roommate, he doesn't know anything about football. He doesn't really follow football. He knows football. He's played football, but he doesn't follow it. And he was like, dude, that guy's good. And I was like, I know, man.
He's a damn good quarterback.
Yeah.
And that was year one. I'm interested to see what happens with him in year two. I'm hoping he doesn't have a sophomore slump. But yeah, no, he was very impressive.
Yeah. But I think as it stands right now, we can both agree it's the Chiefs,
Yeah,
right?
it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, the only team that could give them any sort of a run would be the Chargers right now. But yeah, no, it's the Chiefs, no question about it. South, AFC South.
AFC South. I mean, I want to say Tennessee. I want
I think,
to,
yeah,
but Indianapolis is now very interesting. Houston is going to be in last, and Jacksonville just above Houston. But man,
you're not
it's a
hopping on
two-team
the
race.
who the hell's the kid that the Jaguars drafted number one?
Lawrence, Trevor
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
You're
Yeah,
not hopping on the Trevor Lawrence train yet?
No. I think that Urban Meyer needs to figure it out, and
Yeah.
that's the showstopper for me, is that they have what is supposed to be a generational talent, Andrew Luck type of deal there
Yeah.
at quarterback that they drafted. Now, if all the reports are to believe. And then you go and get Urban Meyer, and then he brings in Tebow, and you're like, it's a distraction. Why do any of that? I think maybe he just wanted to give Tebow a shot at tight end and see what you do, because he's not going to play a quarterback for Trevor Lawrence like that.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see if Urban Meyer if he can get it together, if he can put that team together to support Trevor Lawrence. They could surprise some people, but I still give that division to Tennessee. I give it to Tennessee.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. I think you got to go with Tennessee until we see what we have with Carson Wentz in Indianapolis. I love Frank Reich as a coach. I think he's an awesome coach. So I do think Indianapolis can win the division. It would not surprise me if they win the division. Right now, like I said, I got to go with what we know, and I think we know the Titans. And I love what Vrabel's doing over there. So yeah, I'm going to go with Tennessee, but I would not surprise me at all if Indianapolis pulled it off. And like you said, there's no faith in Houston. There's no faith in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah.
I want to see Urban Meyer prove himself as a college coach. We saw Nick Saban. We saw Nick Saban not work out as a professional coach. We saw the guy who was at Florida went to
Spurrier.
Spurrier did not work out. So Chip Kelly didn't work out. So it doesn't work out all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going with the Titans. We got the West, we got the South, North.
AFC North. Okay, so this is a tough one, too. I think Cincinnati is still the fourth place team, but Joe Burrow.
What are you hearing on Burrow? Is he back?
Well, he had the knee ligaments, man. Like, I think it was like a torn ACL or something like that. And if you can protect Joe Burrow, you'll be in every game.
Yeah.
And so what do they do in the first round of the draft?
Last year.
He looked great. But they drafted a wide receiver, and that's great and everything. But you passed on. Yeah, you got to protect the guy. And this kind of goes back to what we said, about the Vikings, where if you can run the ball and play defense, you can be successful. Well, you got to take some of this pressure. You can't just put it all onto Joe Burrow, man. He's great. He's very talented. But you got to help him out. Now they went and got a wide receiver. I think it was T. Higgins, if I recall correctly. But no, not T. Higgins.
No.
Somebody.
Kid from Alabama. It wasn't Waddle. It was the other one.
Yeah. I forget his name. Nah, I don't know. But they went and got him a wide receiver, somebody he's played with before and everything like that. And
oh, that's right. The kid from LSU.
Yeah, it was the guy from LSU. I can't believe I said anyway. But I would have liked to see Cincinnati go offensive line. They could have drafted Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
Sewell fell to us in Detroit, which I'm very pleased with. Because if we have an offensive line, we give Jared Goff a run game. You could do that for Joe Burrow. So Cincinnati number 4, I think Pittsburgh team number 3.
Really?
And then it's going to be between Cleveland and Baltimore. I think Baltimore takes that division.
You're sold on Cleveland after one season?
I think that they have a great offensive line. I think that Baker Mayfield is above average. I think that they have a good defense, and they did it last year. I mean, they're just going to build off that, man. Baker might get, I don't know if he necessarily gets the credit he deserves, but
I think he's a good quarterback.
He is. And I think he motivates that team too. I think they know if they have Baker, they'll play above, or they'll play up to their potential. Excuse me.
I don't know if that's another tough division. That's a strong division. I don't know if I could see the Pittsburgh Steelers going all the way down to 3. I think that they got some talent over there. I actually think that it could be Steelers, Browns, Ravens 3.
Jamar Chase was the wide receiver that Cincinnati drafted. Sorry about that.
I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson as a quarterback.
Not yet. He's been doing it.
I don't think he played all that well last year. The guy's got talent. He can move around. He's the type that if they get up early, they're fine. But if that team falls behind, he's not the type of quarterback, in my opinion, that's going to be able to bring a team back with his arm. So unless they jump out to a big lead, I don't have faith in them, and I think that division's deep that's a deep division. I think I'm going Steelers, Browns. Let me go with the Steelers in that division.
Okay.
I think Tomlin's got a really good foundation over there. I think he's had his playoff issues, but he does win in the regular season. Like, you can't take that away from Tomlin. He does win in the regular season. His team's always prepared. Even on years where they have down years for the Steelers, they're always hovering around 500.
That's true. I don't see the Steelers going, 3-14 or anything like that. They might be closer to like a 10-win team.
I could see
maybe
a 10
9.
or 11.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to give the edge to the Steelers just because I'm not completely confident with the Browns yet, even though I do agree with you that the Browns do have a lot of talent. Yeah, I'm going Steelers in the North. What do you got in the East?
Bills. I got I don't know I got Jets at the bottom, Bills at the top, and I don't know what to do with the Patriots at all. And Brady's, they went out and got all the free agents. Do those free agents come in and is it just a plug and play type of deal? Do they all coalesce and just buy into Belichick? If I'm a player, I'm buying into whatever Bill Belichick's selling. That's it, right? He knows, he's done it for so long. And something's got to work. So, if he asked me to do something, I'll totally do it. If I got to pick, but I say the Bills are the number 1 team in that division.
I think unquestioned. The Bills were very impressive last year. Josh Allen to me took the step to elite quarterback status last year.
I think if you're talking right now, top 5 quarterbacks, Josh Allen is at least in that conversation.
Yes.
Maybe he's on the outside, but he's in the conversation.
Yeah, no, he was very impressive last year. And I think he did it with everything. He did it with his arm. He did it with his legs. I think he commands that offense really well. After the Bills, it's interesting. And I'm not completely ruling out my Patriots.
You got to put them somewhere.
Yeah, Dolphins were damn good last year. Is Tua going to be the answer? It doesn't seem like they're very sold on Tua. Every time you turn around, it sounds like he's in a trade rumor.
It's weird because is nobody sold on Tua? He had a winning record last year. The guy, it's not like they lost every game with Tua. Guy can play. I don't know. I think they got something going in Miami, man.
He's kind of getting
surprise some people.
Not to the same extreme, but he's getting a little bit of the Tim Tebow treatment. Tim Tebow won, but everybody saw the flaws that were there. So I don't know if that's what's going on with Tua. But he just doesn't seem like he's getting any sort of love It just
Uh,
constantly sounds like he's in trade rumors. And then, like I say though, my Patriots, I don't know. I obviously was not very impressed last year with what Cam could do. It seems like they gave him a lot of weapons to play with this year. And then, obviously being here, I hear the reports around here, and there's a lot of positive things being said about Mac Jones. I'll believe him when I see him.
yeah,
The guy looks like a nerd. I mean,
that's
Mac
what
Jones.
you want. That's what you want.
Mac Jones. No, I don't know. He looks like a nerd. I don't know if you were watching the draft, but man, when they called his name and he was walking up to the podium, my God, did he look like a nerd?
He looked like he just got out of like thermodynamics class
Yeah.
and acing a test. Man, he played at a pretty high level there at Alabama. I mean, well, it's like you say, you believe when you see it. But either way, it's the Bills, right? I mean,
yeah, it's unquestioned. It's the Bills. I think in that division, it just basically is there anybody that's going to give the Bills a run? Can the Patriots give the Bills a run? Can the Dolphins give the Bills a run? And then, are the Jets going to surprise anybody? I don't think so. But
yeah, I think the Jets, the Jets organization, I mean,
Woody Johnson just wants to sell his Band-Aids.
I think so. Yeah, man. I think that's, I guess, man, because they had success there with Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan. And that defense was good, man. It was really good. They went to the AFC Championship
twice in a row.
Yeah, and then it all just right, and so
just poof.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean, and that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Belichick in the 20 years, So, yeah, man. So what we got? Chiefs, Titans, because we're waiting on Carson Wentz.
We're both in agreement with Chiefs and the Titans. We differ on the North. I'm going with the Steelers, and then we both.
I got the Ravens there.
And then I both went with the Bills.
Going with the Bills, yeah.
So you want to wrap this one up, and we'll do another one, and
maybe do one next week or something like that, man. Just keep our ear to the ground, see what's going on in sports, and come
hopefully
back.
Some people enjoyed it. I know it was long. If they
we went too long here, so
that's all right. Hopefully they heard something they enjoyed, and
yeah,
I think we just kind of told them a little bit about ourselves, and we'll kind of next one will be more focused on what's going on in sports.
Yeah, we had the introduction there and everything like that. So yeah, man, we'll try and keep this up, once a week, depending on how our schedules and our lives, allow. And
what do they say on YouTube all the time? Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Oh my gosh! If we start saying that, just cancel the whole dang thing. So whatever, man.
Isn't there supposed to be like a button that you press up here?
I think it's over.
Everybody points at different areas. Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and yeah, man. So yeah, I'll upload it to YouTube and all that. You guys can tune in or watch everything. But we're really just doing this to have because, it's.
You like talking sports, man.
Yeah, man. So anyway, man. Yeah. So next time we won't have the introduction and everything. So I don't know, man. I'll see you next week and everything. All right.
See you guys.
All right.